So how can we adopt some of the best practices to tie some of those loopholes and loose ends?
The best practice is for us to continue to push and show interest. For every Nigerian to show interest in the development of the nation, to see this country as the only country that we have. And the moment we have that interest, we will be able to ask questions, whether from the executive, from the legislative, from the judicial system. It's about the balance that we need to, first of all, inculcate. The spirit of, this is our country. How do we move forward the country? And that's why you see an average Americans believe in his country. Okay, look at the tax system we see. Whatever, from experience, once you deal with some of these foreigners, the first thing that's in their mind is that they want to make sure that they are tax compliant in their country. Do we have the same relationship here?
Is that part where you talked about the policy thrust, the law and administration?
It's about the policy trust. That's why we look at it that the first thing is the policy trust. At the moment, we're struggling with issue of true federalism.
What about?
So the policy system we have needs to be annexed. And once investors start to ask questions, they will make a lot of change. If you look at this country, we have a lot of Nigerians who have done very well all over the world. We have Alhaji Aliko Dangote that has done so much to this economy. He's one of the people that are moving the WEF program into, and so many other Nigerians that have done so much to bring economy. Just take a look at one cement business, the number of people that they employ.
Okay.
And how that has impacted, I mean, every environment where those cement businesses are located in this country.
You were going to talk about we struggling with true federalism and tax. How is that affecting the other?
Okay, if you look at most countries of the world, we probably have one tax system, revenue authorities. But we have it different in Nigeria. We have the states and the federal. Definitely that is not an issue. But in terms of the policy, we have a national tax policy at the moment.
Yeah.
Which basically, if you look at it, is actually looking at the tax system at the federal level. But same agenda could cascade down to the state, where you have a policy that also speak in the same direction with the national policy.
So no state has it at the moment?
Well, it's not many states. Some states do, but not every state do.
Okay.
Then you need to, gradually as we push forward, a good example is Lagos State today, what they've done on the tax system, in terms of pushing it forward and making it a very essential part of the running of government. Today, you can't take away a tax system from Lagos State. It's probably going to crash the economy of Lagos State, because it's one of the developments you see around us is an impact. Today, federal government has realized that they need to do a further push in non-tax revenue. And from that perspective, a lot of investment is going there now.
That brings us to this next question, because if you talk about approaching the tax with a view to maybe helping our economy, can we fund our budget with taxation?
Well, we can't. Some countries do, but not country totally would say is the tax revenue that they use entirely for the economy, for the budget.
So far,
it has had an impact. I will tell you, a lot of money is generated from petroleum profit tax in this country. And the moment we don't allow that petroleum sector to go on, aside from the fact that it's stunted the government, inflow of foreign exchange into the economy, we also derive a lot of revenue from taxation in the oil sector.
Yeah.
So that is the balance. As the more the economy grows, the better you see the tax system evolving.
For this year, for instance, I think in the first quarter of this year, if I remember the report properly, where FIRS said they've been able to get over ₦1 trillion in the first quarter of this year on taxation.
Yes.
And I think it was in last year or the year before where our budget was, I think, 3 point something. And then for the whole year, they also made 3 point something. So I thought, wait a minute, what's all this fight about oil revenue, whereas look at how much we're making from tax? Yet, the tax system still needs some improvement.
The tax system needs some improvement. You mentioned 3 billion. That was the earning for a whole year. And we're talking of that within a quarter. That's to tell you how tax system can make an impact on an economy. And we have not done enough today. In terms of employment of professionals, it's better than when we joined. And you see tax as just not part of the system. But today, it's a very important part of the Nigerian economy. It's growing rapidly. More Nigerians are being employed. And without anything, I see a situation in which in the next 10 years, you probably be asking ourselves, what have we been doing not to have developed this sector?
So would have made more money from tax?
So we will make more money.
We will ever stop complaining of multiple taxation?
It's an issue, but it's not a problem. In terms of how to deal with it. I'm saying not a problem in terms of how to deal with it. Because who's going to do multiple taxation? It's all about government. And it's a situation for the entire federal or state government to sit together and say, what are those areas of multiple taxation? But I'll tell you one thing. Don't let us look at the problem side of Nigerian tax. There's a lot of fiscal incentives in Nigerian tax system. And Nigeria today ranks one of the highest that has the best incentive for investors. I can pick a situation of, look at what we have on pioneer tax system. Quite a number of times, our tax rate, it's not totally bad, but we need to make a shift from direct tax into consumption tax. Gradually, when you make a shift into consumption tax, which is the VAT, essentially, the withholding tax, yes, but most important is the VAT, where you open it up and we can do more in the aspect of how do we move our VAT. Almost every one of us consume. And as long as we consume, we are bringing in about more 5% revenue into government, particularly if you go to those recognized shops to buy.
But they should not be quick to increase this tax so fast.
It's not about increase.
So work out those structures very well first.
It's not about increasing tax rate.
So that we can see where all of those taxation fronts are going.
The increase in tax rate is not going to solve the problem only. You also need to look at how do we continue to bring people that are not in the formal sector like us into the tax system. As well
as use the tax funds properly.
Definitely. The question you ask again is, it's not about give unto Caesar what is Caesar and unto God what is God. When you contribute in a tax environment, you will ask questions as to how the money, where the money goes. Now, if you talk about your revenue tax system, the question people will ask you, the next neighbor maybe is not paying. The next question is going to ask you to come and leave him. But if every one of us is into it, and what the challenge for government today, which I think this forum is going to open up Nigeria, is to say, look, you can't continue to do business as usual. Okay,
Mr. Folarin, you can go on and on because you want people to pay their tax, but that's all the time we have now. Mr. Fatai Folarin is the head of tax and regulatory services at Akintola Deloitte. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.